All right. Good evening, everyone. Let's. Alec Peters here, along with Shane Freund, Jeff Craig, and our special guest from Olympia, Washington, Doc John Muenchrath, better known as Dr. McCoy on Star Trek New Voyages, for 9 or 10 episodes. I couldn't. Were you in Mind Sifter, Doc?
No, I wasn't.
You did 9 episodes.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Plus, plus you were in the Going Boldly vignette, so we could always say that's 10. So
nice round number.
Yeah, exactly. So, welcome all. Well, it's good to have you back with our semi-regular Axanar Confidential. We're broadcasting live from Seattle, Washington, where I have been staying with Shane for the past couple days. You'll see that little puppy there, there on Shane's lap, right there. That little puppy is a rescue we brought from Georgia that Shane saw on my Facebook page and fell in love with. Her name is Sadie. She's absolutely adorable. She's so much fun. And then the other one, the one that Jeff is petting right now, that's Mojo, who many of you may remember. We fostered in September, October of 2019, and Shane came out to our to the Axanar shoot in October 2019. Came out just to see Mojo. They fell in love like that, and a couple weeks later, we threw Mojo on a plane, and Mojo was great. He laid down in his crate and was just an angel. I hear on the flight out. So Shane has 2 Georgia now that he has adopted. So that's why we're here. Jeff is local. Jeff is one of the big Axanar supporters.
Alec, check your mic. You knocked it astray. It's muffled.
I didn't do anything to it.
Yeah, just reposition it, Alec.
Well, it's on my computer. So
there you go. That's much better.
Is that better? Okay.
Whatever you did, yeah.
I don't know what it did. I don't even know where the mic is on this computer. And so hit it with a hammer. So there we go. Check in with all of our I see a bunch of our regulars are here. Hello, everyone who has joined us tonight. Tesler, how are you? Jim Westbrook, who's down in Vancouver, Washington, right? That's Washington, yeah.
Nearby. Wow, cool.
Is he nearby Olympia? Yeah.
Yeah, just south. Yeah.
Chris Gavin says, "Hey Doc, that's a Marshall half-stack bar fridge, isn't it?"
It is.
There you go. So
I'll probably be opening it during this podcast.
As well, you should. So I saw Doc. I don't know. It was 2016, I think it was, when I came up.
Oh yeah.
And we stayed at the Muenchrath residence, and Doc spent a fortune on all this, on his custom bar in his basement, a bat pole from the main floor down to the bar, a urinal on the wall in the bar. I mean, all the fun.
All the trimmings, man.
All the trimmings.
Coming down to your house.
Yes, everyone wants to stay at Doc John's house.
Well, you actually had a picture of it on the opening screen.
Yeah, yes.
Two sitting there. That's cool.
Yeah, so if you are, yes, that is. We'll just show real quick. There we are at the Muenchrath Residence Bar, and Doc, and there's Doc with hair as Dr. McCoy.
Yeah, special effect.
I remember the first time I showed up in 2010 at Star Trek New Voyages in that crappy old ex Ford dealer or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Fort Henry.
The mold-ridden building that's
a fine studio.
Oh God, it was awful. But anyway, and I remember because I'm not there. I'm not there 20 minutes, and you walked by. You had just shot a scene, and you walk by, go into the dressing room, and you come out without hair, and I was like,
Sans hair, yes.
And so it should be told that's where we met, was 2010, shooting Origins, which I hear Origins got recently got the uncut release.
Oh, really?
The unfinished, yeah. Someone, I guess they released it. I don't know, but it was never finished, sadly, because I thought it was going to be a great episode. Colin Ferguson was Colin. Is that his last name? Colin. the one who played Pike, Captain Pike, in that episode. I want to say his last name. He was in Stargate. Anyway, super nice guy, and he was in it. We had Matthew was in it playing a young black kid.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was a great episode.
There were a number of. I think there's at least that one and maybe one other that's never been released.
Yeah, Bread and Savagery is never released.
Yeah, that's the other one that I think we never actually got out.
Destiny has never been released.
So they're sitting somewhere unedited or unfinished.
As much as I may hate Vic Mignogna, I will say the one thing they did actually finish their episodes. Something they put it out. So I'll give them that. But anyway, so tell everyone out there in TV land, in YouTube land, how you got involved, because it's a great story, how you got involved with Star Trek New Voyages, because now we're talking, early
2003.
2003?
3, I believe, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a site once upon a time called, and maybe some people remember it, a site about props, ASAP. And I was busy building, I think, a Ghostbusters sign at the time. And so I used to go there and try and get tips. No one was building a Ghostbusters sign, so I didn't get much help there. But I did flip into the Star Trek forum every once in a while. One day I got on there and I see these two guys standing on what appears to be a TOS bridge. The guy sitting on it, and if actually their faces are blurred out at the time, but it's the command well with the Uhura station behind them. And the next day they went ahead and put up a picture with both the pictures. It was Jack Marshall and James Cawley, and blah, skip. People were going crazy because the set looked great. Little did we know it wasn't remotely, complete. But they said, we're going to start making shows. And so I said, oh God, that's it. I mean, I was a big TOS fan since I was a kid. And I actually, I guess I emailed them or direct messaged them or something. And I said, hey, I'll do anything. I'll get coffee. I'll build set. I don't care. And if you go back and look at the very first episode, I actually got on as an extra. So I'm actually walking on, I believe, in the teaser, and it's just me, not as McCoy. And so the first shoot, I was just an extra. I went out and helped. I remember helping building the transporter room and corridors.
Is that Come What May?
That was Come What May, yeah. And it was actually shot at on the second story of the Chamber of Commerce building in downtown Ticonderoga. That's where we actually shot it. It had a metal roof, so when it rained, it was you could forget about shooting because it was just so noisy. And anyway, so I went out, did the shoot with them. That's a whole adventure in and of itself, was the shoot, because we almost didn't finish it. But by the end of the shoot, I'd gotten together with Cawley and Marshall and Jeff Quinn and so forth, and we hit it off so well, they decided they wanted to change the McCoy character after the shoot. And so they called me literally a month or two, maybe a month later. They called me month later, and said, we'd like you to come back. We're going to reshoot all of McCoy, and we're going to cut you in. And that's what happened. The other actor, he was fine. They just he looked too young. I think he mainly looked like he was about 17. He graciously came back and played in the next movie, the next show, which was In Harm's Way. But that's kind of how I got hooked up, through this website that was a prop site. And that's how I got into the production. So I don't know how much more you want to hear.
So you're in Come What May?
Yeah. I mean, I'm in it as an extra, as a quick shot. If you know where I am, you can see me. And then the rest of the show I'm in is McCoy, which is kind of funny.
So how did you? I mean, what was it that got them to cast you as McCoy? They just needed someone, and you did you do a great McCoy impression? What was it?
I think it was we mainly, the thing that we were talking about earlier is that New Voyages was at first very much Star Trek camp. I mean, that's the way the way we felt about it. It was with James and a lot of us. I mean, we're putting on a show, but it was also kind of playing Star Trek. I mean, and we just hit it off. And then I remember I did go to James, or I think I went to Jack Marshall at first and said, I kind of knew they weren't liking the way that it was going with McCoy, the McCoy they had. I mean, I'd heard them talk about it. So I said, hey, listen, I'd love to play McCoy if you'd have me. I think and then they called me up, actually. I think that's how it happened. So,
and you mentioned that in the early days, New Voyages was starred by James Cawley and Jack Marshall.
Right. They were the principal producers. Yeah.
Right. And
everybody kicked in money for it.
Right. At some point, Doug Drexler got involved.
Yeah. He came along. Well, actually, he did the special effects, I believe, for the very first one. And then he and Jim Vanover wrote the second one, which is a great script.
In Harm's Way?
In Harm's Way, yeah. And that was also shot at the same location. We hadn't moved up to Port Henry yet. So it was, a very, maybe a half bridge is all we had. In fact, I remember at one point we had to rotate the command well in order to get a reverse shot. We didn't have enough pie pieces, that kind of stuff. There was, and the transporter was very, very small in the very first couple ones. It's not actual size. So,
now, and I listen, come what may, the first episode, which for a while, now I think it's up and on YouTube again.
Oh, is it off for a while?
Oh yeah. James totally disowned that episode. Yeah.
It's horrible. I mean,
it is horrible.
It's horrible. It's hard to watch.
Yeah. We say it's horrible, but it's horrible the way many fan films are horrible.
It's objectively horrible. But the thing is that one does hold a special place in my heart because and it kind of getting back to what I alluded to earlier. At one point, James Cawley had trotted off to his trailer, and Jack Marshall was packing up their stuff, and they were going home. They were done. Everybody's nerves were fried. Everybody was angry. It was the middle of the night, and they just had this big blowout, and they just decided that we're done. We're going home. And I still remember Jeff Quinn who played Spock, who's still a real close friend of mine. I talk to him almost every week.
He's a great guy. I love Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff. Well, no, he's an asshole. Come on.
But so are you. So that's why
he's a pity friend. Really? No. But I went to Jack Marshall, and I know that Jeff Quinn went to James Cawley, and I remember saying to Jack, look, if you guys go home now, we're only going to have a partial product, and we will never get this cast back together. We will never finish this thing. It will just be a wasted week. All the money, all the effort, all the blood, sweat, and tears will be for nothing. And we finally, Jeff gave Cawley the same kind of another version of the same speech, I guess. And we got them back together, and they finally came and put aside their differences. And we finally, crapped out what ended up being a terrible episode. We actually had to come back for reshoots. That's where I came in. We came back because that was with the original McCoy. Then we came back like a month or two later, and it was like October or something that year. And we reshot all the McCoy scenes.
Oh, okay.
But there was no way if everybody had left, it would have been a bad taste in everybody's mouth, and there would have been. I believe there would never have been any New Voyages. Frankly, I mean, that was a do or die. So anyway, it was kind of a fun, kind of interesting moment.
Now, I know Shane hasn't seen Star Trek New Voyages. We watched World Enough in Time 2 nights ago when the first day I got here. We watched that together because he had never seen any. Jeff, have you seen what? What? I'm getting rid of these guys. Fuck them.
Yeah, turn them off. That's it.
All right, I'll let them back on. What? That's the fourth time. You gotta go and watch. Jeez. Because so let's just progress a little because Come What May really was bad, but In Harm's Way is glorious in its absurdity.
We talked about redoing it towards the end, like 10 or whatever, 8 years later. We talked about redoing it because it almost should be a two-parter. That's how, how much stuff is crammed in there,
Oh, yeah.
But it is a great episode. I got to say, I mean,
it is,
it is fun. It is, if you just, the act, my performance is awful. It doesn't matter. But the story and if you just set aside and just go, look, I'm just going to set aside everything and just enjoy this story. It's a fun romp. It really is.
It really is. It is. I call it the kitchen sink episode.
Oh man, it is. That's what we called it.
You want the Guardian of Forever? We'll give you 2 Guardians of Forever.
One's going to be giant.
And one's going to be giant. A starship can fly. And you love Doomsday Machines? We'll give you 3 Doomsday Machines. And we'll give you every Enterprise. It is it's like, listen, it is the fan film that everyone wants to write.
Well,
right?
I'll tell you what, that was the origin, right? Doug and Jim sat down and they didn't realize, nobody had any idea this was going to, every episode was viewed as quite likely the last, right? Nobody had any, it was up. We didn't have like eventually you had literally hundreds of people descending on this set, almost too many to help make a show, right? And you had this following that showed up every year. But the first few episodes, man, you didn't have that. The first episode, I think Jeff and I counted it out. There was I think that entire I keep going back to Come What May. I'm sorry about that, but that one I think was made by 25 people. That was it.
Wow.
That was the whole production was made by 25 people, and that's including special effects. But then you go, so when Doug and Jim wrote the kitchen sink episode, which is probably what it should have been called, they wrote it like, hey, we're never going to do this again. We're going to put every damn thing we ever wanted to see in a Star Trek episode in this episode, and that's what they did, and they did a great job.
Yeah, no, it is glorious. It really is. It is an amazing feat. And James Cawley is at his full. He's at full Elvis Kirk mode.
Oh yeah. Well, we always called. See, Jack Lord was actually considered for the part. Considered for the part of Kirk, and so we always kind of framed it in our minds as this is the what if Jack Lord had actually accepted the contract. That's how we rationalized it. I thought it was kind of funny myself. But.
That is awesome. Yeah, that is pretty funny. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I just saw a photograph of Jack Lord because Jessica Walter, the actress, passed away. The photo, Jack Lord was playing a baseball player in some movie with Jessica Walter. I saw it didn't explain it. It just had a photo. I was like, oh. But yeah, I know it isn't that crazy. Bill Krause, who does all that amazing starship modeling, and
right,
he's amazing. He uses the image of Jack Lord as the captain of one of his ships.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he kind of broadcasts all the. Oh,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really.
I'm gonna look for that. Or send me the link, whatever.
I'll send
That'd be great.
Yeah. So then, after In Harm's Way, you guys for your 3rd episode land Walter Koenig.
Yeah. And Dorothy DC Fontana.
And how did
she wrote it?
Can you tell us anything about that?
Well, now you got to go back a little ways because at first we were having wet dreams about, oh my God, maybe we can get George Takei to do a voiceover, for one of our episodes. We thought that would be so. The idea of getting an original cast member to come and play in our camp was just everybody couldn't believe it, and of course Walter was actually really fun to work with. I was actually probably just as starstruck, by the fact that DC Fontana had written the script, because she wrote so many of the original episodes. The idea that we would actually work and act in one of her scripts, I thought was pretty cool. Also, just real quickly, another thing that should be mentioned is Eugene Roddenberry actually came and helped with In Harm's Way.
Oh, wow.
So he was on set when we were doing that, and it was kind of fun hauling set with Eugene Roddenberry. That was pretty surreal. And Rod's was a great guy. He's really fun. Rod Roddenberry, I guess. Yeah.
Rod. Yeah. Very, very.
But
good.
Walter, I think that. It seems like Walter. I guess Walter came out for a second show, but it was what was it called? What was the other thing they shot there? It was more. Anyway, he actually shot another show there at one point after.
He did. Of Gods and Men.
That's it. Yeah. Jeff was in that. I don't have as many stories about Walter. I'm not sure why not. It's just. But
now, isn't that the one that book was written? Someone wrote a book about filming up there, and what?
Oh, shoot! I don't have it here. I think John. No, that was. I don't think John Lim was in. That was Andy and John Lim, and they first showed up. Well, no, Andy had to show up for to serve all my days because he played young Walter, basically young Chekhov.
Yeah.
I don't remember if John Lim was in that one. He played young Sulu, but I know he played young Sulu in the in World of Time.
Yeah.
But they wrote the book. I think it's fake Star Trek or something.
It's something like
I have it here someplace. It's in my house. I just
I started reading it. It's great. It's really fun to read about what it was like.
It's fun to read their recollections. Yeah, they keep. People are dropping out. Oh my God.
Oh, no, they just pissed me off again, so I kicked them out.
Well, yeah, I can see why.
Listen, you don't get on this show unless you're a dick. So,
I feel honored. So yeah, no. Did you buy that book?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You did? Okay. Yeah. They're thinking about writing a sequel, which I think is funny.
Dude, you need to write your memoirs.
Well, I actually thinking about this tonight. I actually went on Wikipedia and they've got a number of things completely wrong on there. So I was thinking about helping to clean it up.
Well, did you have any interaction with Walter?
Yeah, Jeff Quinn loves to tell a story of we were driving along. Do you know this story?
I don't think so.
Oh God. So I think I was driving. I drove Walter around quite a bit because I rented a car every time I went out there. And if people don't know it, I actually am a doctor. So Walter's asking me questions. So John, if somebody starts asking me about cardiac symptoms, and if he gets kind of short of breath, what's that?
Just to be fair, you're a urologist.
I'm a urologist. I'm not a cardiologist.
Yeah.
No. So
I hope so.
I know there's 4 chambers. That's and done. Anyway, so he's asking me about cardiac issues, and Quinn's in the back, but he's talking like it's a friend of his. He's kind of like asking for a friend, And I go, man, I just stupidly think he's asking for a friend. And so I start going, yeah, that guy definitely should see a cardiologist. I mean, these are some bad signs. And and Jeff loves the fact that I'm sitting there telling him, and I mean, I'm being sincere. I'm like, man, that could really be serious. I mean, that guy, I would call your friend and tell him he should get on the schedule immediately with a cardiologist. Yeah. Anyway, Quinn loves telling that story because apparently, Walter's face kind of, drains of blood, but anyway, so that's kind of my only, and then we did talk about, I guess, we kind of asked him about, I talked to George Takei actually much more than I did Walter.
Which was the next episode.
Which is the next episode. Yeah. Because I drove George around quite a bit, and we talked a lot about, kind of relationships with other cast members and so forth from the original series. As everybody knows, I mean, yeah, he has no like of William Shatner. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And he doesn't hide it,
Yeah. Well, and which, listen, I've heard enough stories, and it's interesting about Shatner. You'll hear good stuff, and you'll hear good stuff. There's lots of people who say, "Oh, he's an absolute gentleman to me," whatever.
Right.
But just as many people, I mean, I know Shane has a story about him, and I have a story, whatever, whatever. But the funny thing, just in defense of Shatner, not that anyone needs to defend him, but just a little bit. Someone once made a great point to me to put it all in perspective, and the point was, in the original series, it was Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. And everyone else was one step above an extra. Oh,
and it was really Kirk and Spock.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. And in fact, well, what's interesting is that I do remember a Walter story, and he told me about he went up to Shatner and asked him for some advice or something, and Shatner kind of dismissed him, and it was interesting because you could kind of see where, this was somebody that Walter clearly kind of, I would imagine, idolized. He was the star of a television series, and he was on the and Walter wasn't even necessarily, I mean, a lot of the supporting actors were not even on contract, right? They were like, episodic, right? We'll hire you for this episode. I don't think they were actually on contract as being, regular characters. And you could kind of understand where Shatner probably just, had his mind on other things and didn't realize that he was very important to this person and just kind of brushed him off like, I don't really have time right now. And you could tell it crushed Koenig, and it probably helped form this idea of him as like kind of a douchebag, when for Shatner, it was probably just this one little throwaway moment and he had no idea that it had the impact it did. But I remember Koenig telling me that story, and it was.
And that's why whenever you're in a position like that position, that Shatner's in, or anything, you've got to understand that once you achieve that, every interaction you have got to be cognizant of. You can
it's hard. It's hard, right? I mean, because maybe you don't even think of yourself as that, having that kind of power over someone,
Right. And, again, not to defend Shatner, but he's in his he just turned 90 the other day, but he's in his 80s and he's expected to sign autographs for 3 hours. You think that in hour 3, he's really paying attention? At 87 years old or whatever. Again, not to defend him, but I will say, and I learned that, believe me, I learned that lesson 25, 30 years ago when I had Pete Rose at an event we did. And the amazing thing was, Pete Rose, you got it at the time, I don't know how it is now, you paid these guys, and Pete Rose, I think, was $18,000, and you got 1,000 autographs. All right.
Okay.
And typically there was 1,000 autographs or 3 hours, but you got guaranteed 1,000 autographs, right?
Right.
And Pete Rose, of all the athletes that I had contracted, I've worked with probably 40 athletes at the time, Pete Rose was the best in that autograph number 1,000. He spent as much time with that person as he did with autograph number 1.
And it's work, man.
Person, now you think, and he knew how to get you to leave the line feeling like you had touched Pete Rose, like you were.
Yeah, you had a moment.
I had a moment with Pete Rose.
Right. And it mattered.
And I will tell you, and that was back then was when he was going through the Hall of Fame thing and all of that.
Oh yeah.
And I came out having so much respect for Pete Rose. I don't give a heck. I didn't care about his gambling and his alcoholism, whatever. He treated people who came for a moment with Pete Rose. He treated each person like.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I thought, and that's the lesson I feel that Shatner's never learned.
Well, and then flipping to Takei, now, were you ever on set when Takei was around?
No. That's way before.
This was before you. Okay.
Yeah,
I guess that's right. Anyway, now George was a gem. I mean, he was. He will talk. You will talk more about yourself in front of George Takei than he'll talk about himself.
He's amazing that way. Yeah.
And he wants to know about you, and he wants to. And
was that way. Richard Hatch was.
Yeah, Richard Hatch was like that. No, yeah, Richard was like that. Absolutely, that's right.
Shane has you want to tell your Shatner story?
Oh, do it.
Hey,
well, I could tell the whole Shatner story, but
no. What you were going to say?
I was going to say that was what my experience was like with George. He was just really personable, very nice, just the nicest man. I don't usually, when I've gotten a picture with someone at a con and met them, and then they come back a year or two later, like I may not always go back to that person. I would wait in line to talk to George anytime.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Awesome.
No, this is Takei. Is that?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were talking about he's an amazing guy.
Yeah, he's just super. Yeah, George he was hilarious. Now, the first night I remember we kind of had to wait because he was shooting something with Tom Hanks down in New York City, actually, before I always think that's funny, before he came up to shoot with us. But the first night. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you must have been like the thing that's going to ground him after spending time with Tom Hanks.
Yeah. I was like,
get down to earth again.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. But we had to shoot one of the large sick bay scenes is what it was. But we didn't have sick bay ready. You know this routine, right, Alec? I mean, so they're building set. And they're getting ready, and they're lighting, and they're doing this and that. We did not shoot with George Takei until 5 a.m.
Oh my God!
That is the truth. And I mean, the guy was a consummate professional. I'm telling you. I mean, man, we were all so exhausted by the time it was time to shoot, but we had to get started, you know. But yeah, George was
the sets
super
were never
fun.
ready. The sets were never ready at New Voyages.
No,
Never.
the lighting was never
Like,
ready.
You spent 6 months planning for a shoot, and they're building the sets, that were ready, supposed to be ready on day 1. They're still building them on day 5.
That's all volunteer, baby. It's just that's the way it is. But
Yeah.
that was part of the. Actually, I mean, it's crazy. That was part of the fun. It was just so by the seat of your pants. And poor Mark Sakri, who is the co-writer and director of that episode. I hope he doesn't see this, but by the end of the week, he was so tired. He and his wife. I remember running into them before we were leaving. Kurt Carley and I were driving down to New York City after that shoot. We ran into Mark Sakri, and Mark Sakri looked like a ghoul. He looked like somebody whose face was melting off his skull. He was so tired. He's like, we came and we kicked its ass. It was like, no, man, you went up river to Collywood, and James Colley and his Back River boys kicked your ass. It was so funny. He was so, oh my God. Mark was fun to work with, though. I had a great time with him.
It is. I mean, unfortunately.
Did you ever meet Mark Scree?
Oh, I know Mark real well.
Okay, yeah.
No. I've talked to him many times. We interviewed him. He came up.
Mark's a great guy, and his wife Elaine is wonderful.
Yeah, and she worked with you guys as she was the acting coach for that.
She was. She drove Jeff Quinn crazy, but otherwise.
Yeah. No,
like Leonard.
You haven't seen it.
More like Leonard.
Now, Shane has now seen the Takei episode.
That was amazing.
It's a good episode. It really is.
It legitimately is.
The script was actually it's by Michael Reeve and by Mark Sakri, right? They wrote the script.
Right.
And Michael Reeve, people probably may recognize that name from Batman, the animated series. He wrote a lot of really great episodes for that. And Mike has also written a number of, I believe, Star Wars novels. Anyway, but now you probably know this story, Alec, but I think it's a good one to relay. And that is that Mike actually pitched this script, this idea, for the early 70s Phase 2 proposed series. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Okay, so he pitched this story, and of course, for that story, they were obviously going to use young George Takei to play Sulu, who would have to put on aged makeup to play the aged, Sulu character. Well, of course, now he's, when he shot this, I think he was in his 70s. I think he was 70 when he shot it. And of course, he's aged, and we used a younger actor. But I always thought that was so cool that this was actually one of the scripts that was pitched for the original television series Phase 2 and whatever, 74, 75, whatever it was.
Right. Wow.
And Mike thought that was really a cool kind of symmetry there, that he had pitched it all those years ago, and then George Takei would actually act in the series or act in the episode.
Yeah. No, that is cool. And of course, The Child, which was an episode you guys did.
That was in Next Generation, I think.
That was a Phase 2 script.
Yeah, right.
In the Next Generation.
Next Generation, I believe.
Yeah.
Right. And then we did it.
Yep.
And I think we went back a little bit more. I think we did it a little bit more true to the original script, but I'm not real privy on that. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
That was actually a pretty good episode too, when I go back and look at it.
Yeah. And the thing about going up to Port Henry, New York, which is on Lake Ticonderoga, and in the middle
Champlain.
Lake, is that Lake Champlain?
I think
near
so, yeah.
Fort Ticonderoga.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, right. And Port Henry has what, like 6 stores in it? The gas station.
You're pushing it, pal.
The Chinese and the Italian. And that was it.
There's like a Chinese restaurant, a
Italian
place.
Yeah.
A couple of bars and a supermarket.
Yeah, the bar. Yeah, the bar down the street. And it was so. And the way I got involved was that we had the TOS chair that was used when they were filming the Deep Space Nine episode.
Oh,
it was just a stand-in. It like literally wasn't on camera, but it was this chair that Cisco basically was reacting
Yeah.
to a stand-in in this chair.
Right.
So, but it needed to be restored. So I knew I'd run into Cauley like at Dragon Con one year. And so
Okay.
he and I had talked, and
I don't even think I know this story, dude. I can't believe that.
really. So he and I had talked, and I was asking his advice on restoring the chair. And then I had just gotten the Garth costume from Rob, who is working. He was Rob Cohen was one of the big people in Star Trek costumes. But, is it time for a beer? It's time for a beer.
Yeah. Keep going, man.
Now we have beer here? Oh no, just Jack Daniels.
No, I need you guys.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
What do you want a beer? All right, we'll get it. Yeah, please. Watch the little one.
I'll join you with a Jack Daniels.
And there you go. So we're gonna put Shane to work and get alcohol for all of us. But yeah, so I just gotten the Garth costume, and so I said to Cauley, because people knew about ProtWorks and my involvement, and I said, James, I just got the original Garth costume, and he was like, oh my God, that's cool. We started talking about what a great character Garth was. And we never did anything with him. Here, he's Kirk's hero, And that was when he was planning. I mean, he was like 6 weeks away from Origins, and he's like, "Yeah, we're doing this episode Origins, which is Kirk at the Academy, and that's when Garth was at his height." He said we should write Garth into the script. And I was like, "Yeah, you should do that." And he said, "Well, why don't you come play Garth?" Now, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's kind of cool, right?
That's awesome.
And so. Yeah, and that is literally how I came.
How you ended up on the set? How funny!
Yeah, and so I flew in. I bought a ticket, flew in, and everything. And that was before I took acting lesson number 1. And the stuff we shot, which was like second unit with Alex Ibrahim.
Oh, that's right.
It was awful. It was just horrendous. And and then we reshot it in I want to say it was like January, but it may have been. It was the next spring we shot it. Yeah, I think. But anyway,
I don't think I was there for that. But
no, that was a small reshoot, and Vic directed it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was the Admiral, what's his name, Rob Withrow,
and
myself, and then it was the Kobayashi Maru team. But and it was well done. It was the way they shot it was. I give Vic credit. He did.
Oh man, Vic's a good director.
Oh no, he is. Yeah.
He definitely is. Yeah, Vic's a super talented guy.
Yeah. Too bad he's a sexual predator because he really has some talent.
He's a good actor too. He actually is.
Yeah.
But, that is hilarious. Go ahead. Keep going.
No. So that's kind of it. And then I went out to lunch with James and said, I had written this story about Garth after he got out of the Elba 2, and James is like, you need to really finish that, write a full script, and we'll produce it. And thank you, sir.
No problem.
Thank you. There we go. Mirror Pond Pale Ale.
Thanks,
I don't know if
Obsidian Stout, sir.
Dude,
same brewery though.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. It's Deschutes, right? Oh,
cheers.
Wait, is it Deschutes?
What's that?
Is it Deschutes?
Is it the what?
Deschutes.
Yeah, Deschutes Brewery.
Yeah. Same brewery. See?
Yeah.
Oops. Deschutes.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. There we go. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
What do you know?
Oh, look at that. Look at that. He's got a story.
Oh, there we go. Romulan ale.
I just want to say, I wanted to have this ready for when you came up here, but I just didn't get my leather working area done in time. But I'm gonna put the thing back around here in the base, and then the part up here with the handle. But I'm gonna put some areas of Axanar kind of stuff.
Oh, cool.
So
that'll be good. Now, I have 2 Dickles bottles.
Okay.
I can send them to you, and you can just
okay.
You work on all of them.
I'll do that.
Keep some for yourself.
I've got one more. I've got 2 of these.
Oh,
I've
do
got
you?
one I'm going to keep for myself.
Yeah. No, they're awesome. Now Jeff Craig's stuck with the puppy. Look.
Oh.
Puppy bigger?
I wanna. He's like she wants to kiss you.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I smell.
Critters
of course, Jeff has 2 big dogs.
Critters love me. People, not always.
We tolerate. We tolerate that. So no, so that's how it started, and then And then you and I, you're the one that really started. I mean, you're really the co-creator of Axanar.
I remember that we would go to lunch and we would talk a lot, and we talked a lot about that first script and kind of a vision for what we wanted for a different studio, really.
Right.
I mean, that was a little bit. I mean, at that time, I was still, at least I was planning on staying with New Voyages, but we were talking about literally creating a new project, which is what you did, which you went on and did. But we had a lot of conversations, man, a lot of phone calls and a lot of lunches.
Yeah, and you're the one that got. Then we went together to the Robert McKee seminar.
Yep. Yeah.
Because you're like a big disciple of his.
I've gone to, but I haven't seen Bob in years, but I hope he's still alive. But I've been to. I think that was my third time I'd been there. I think I'd gone to 2 others before.
So
not necessarily the same, but they were great. I mean, they were awesome.
Well, that was an amazing time.
Yeah.
That really, I couldn't have tackled that script if I hadn't been to a seminar. So for those of you who don't know, Robert McKee is like the godfather of modern screenwriting. And basically he's, his book, which is Story, is like the #1 selling book for anyone who wants to write
if you just like movies, if you just like anything, read that book. It's amazing. It is, you will understand and appreciate story. It will enhance your experience. It really does. I think
it does, because I remember we went to that, and that was like 2011, I think.
Yeah.
Thor came out within months of us going. Thor came out.
Yeah. The first one?
The first Thor.
Yeah.
I remember watching that movie, and I couldn't get the seminar out of my mind. I was like, oh, there's that thing. Oh yeah, look, state change. Oh look, yeah. It was just
polarity.
Saw it.
Yeah.
It's just the way. Yeah. I just got. And the great thing about it, so McKee's seminar, for everyone out there, is it's like 4 days, and it's 3 days of him teaching you really principles. Right? He's not teaching you tactics. He's teaching you strategy. He's teaching, this is the big picture. These are principles. You don't have to do it this way, but understand these concepts, right? And then the 4th day, you basically, the fourth day, you basically
analyze a movie.
Yeah, you break down.
You unpackage a movie.
Yeah, and
beat by beat, by scene, by act, Yeah.
And it's amazing because you watch Casablanca and you go, it's exactly what you're not sure if he wrote his book after watching Casablanca and the way to do it, or it just the principles, but it is amazing nonetheless.
Yeah.
So that was it. And and then and I'll never forget that I was able early on to get in touch with Marco Palmieri, who is the editor for Star Trek Books at Pocket Books. I think he had just left. And and I think this was the early days of Facebook, and where people responded. And he looked at the script, and he gave me, he gave me a lot of notes, and the big note was he didn't think that Garth had a good enough arc, and he said, you need to. He said, go look at. He said, the 2 best Star Trek pilots are Emissary for Deep Space Nine and The Cage. He said those are the 2 best. And he says they're the 2 best because the captains go through an arc. They start off at point A and they wind up at point B, and you go on that journey with them. And I was like, oh, and that really made me so a lot of what's in that story is
that's really cool that you were able to get a hold of him, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, he was great. And then and of course Dave Galanter took a look at the script and made some comments, who recently passed away.
Yeah, God, it was.
Yeah,
I felt bad to hear that, man. That was awful.
Yeah, and
couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
Dave and I talked a lot of writing, man. We talked.
Oh, yeah?
Well, he was in one of my lunch buddies at one of the shoots, and in fact, Dave and I kind of lost touch with him after the last couple of years. I've been off Facebook, but we used to talk a lot. Actually, it's kind of funny because we talked about writing a novel together.
Oh, okay.
He probably was just flirting with it, but whatever. But Dave was a real interesting guy. He was a lot of fun to chat with.
We've got Thomas Heisler says, what's going on with the Axanar movie? Okay, Thomas, go to the YouTube channel. You're on the YouTube channel. go and watch our latest update. We explain it all there. It's all there, because we get that question every single episode. Someone drops them, and so the easy way is just to point you to a place where we explain. Has the puppy been tested for Gawk? A matter of fact, we have the D-Gawker. Yes, that has to be applied. So yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. The puppy got her third set of shots today. They're just temper and parvo shots today, and all. So yeah. So okay, so and so you left New Voyages after
9 episodes.
9 episodes. You didn't do Mindset.
Actually, Alec, I was at dinner with you. No, wait. Yeah, I was at dinner with you, wasn't I? When I sent the text.
Oh, was that when we were at the Mexican restaurant?
Yes. I was just drafting the. I actually kind of accidentally sent it, but anyway.
Right, because you were talking about that, and
I started writing it, and then I went, "Oh shit, I just sent it." Oh well, anyway. So that's how that happened. But anyway, what was your question?
Well, I remember we were in the middle of that was an interesting dinner. That was the one with Darren Doctorman, wasn't it? Right? Was he at that one?
I don't know. I thought it was just you and me, but
Darren
might have been there.
That wasn't the dinner. We all went out to the Mexican restaurant. Tina was there.
No.
That was a different one.
Yeah, it's a different night. Yeah.
Okay, this was I remember the trip you came down.
This was down by your place where you live down in Long Beach or whatever.
Newport Beach?
Newport, yeah. I think it was down there.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was down by your apartment.
Oh. No, I'm trying to think. I'm when you left New Voyages.
Oh man.
Because I want to say I was up in Toluca Lake at that point.
Were you living up there?
Yeah, I think. Oh, or is that when we went to your favorite? What's the restaurant that Walt Disney went to all the time?
No, you're thinking of the Tam O'Shanter.
Tam O'Shanter.
I still go there every time. Every time I go to Los Angeles.
That is such an old man's restaurant, man.
You got to go to the Tam O'Shanter.
That is so old school.
It's so awesome. Anyway, but so I'm trying to think if there's anything. Well, okay, I want to tell a story. I want to tell a story. Yeah,
hold on one sec. Let me just thank Michael Weir, who made a $10 super chat. Wants to know when we can expect the audio book. Yeah, the audio.
Oh, that's cool.
The audio drama should be out this summer. We're working away at it. So there you go, Michael. Michael Weir is a good friend of. Oh, and there's Dale Simpson. Dale Simpson being a smartass. What's going on with the Axanar movie? Dale Simpson, who only shows up at the studio at least once a week to help me with stuff. Who knows things better than anyone? He's just being a smartass. Drop and give me 50, dude. So anyway, thank you all. The Trek reviewer says, "What do you think will happen to Star Trek if Disney or NBC buys the IP?" I don't see how that would happen. It's such a major part of Paramount Plus. There's no discussions for that, and I can't imagine CBS, Viacom CBS as it's called now, parting with the IP. So I just think your premise is wrong there, Trek reviewer. But thanks for the question. Happy to discuss that another time if you want. And then Rob Emmerich says, "What is each of your favorite don't forget your story there, John. What is each of your favorite non-humanoid alien species or beings? Could be Trekverse, but not necessarily." Okay. Jeff, Craig?
Triaxians.
Triaxians. What's that from?
The animated series.
Oh.
The guy with the 3 arms and the 3 legs.
Oh, that's Eric's. The red guy.
Yep, they actually had them in some of the Department of Temporal Investigations.
Oh.
Because everyone defaults to either Andorians or Klingons.
Right.
If you're gonna do it right.
And Eric's actually appears in Going Boldly, the vignette that we did that introduced Brian Gross as Captain Kirk. Beautiful. Was that Pony who did that CGI, or is that Tobias, or someone else? You know?
Boy, I thought that was Tobias, but I could be wrong.
Oh, okay. How about you, Shane? Favorite non-humanoid alien species. I don't know if they mean non-human or non-humanoid, meaning.
I'm thinking human form.
Yeah.
Oh God, because
Doesn't have to be limited to Star Trek.
Yeah, no, I was for Star Trek. I mean, I know it's cliche, like, and I know you have to go with these, but the Klingons are always going to be my favorite in Star Trek. But in Star Wars, it's the Wookiees. But non-humanoid, jeez. You know, I've been a bad boy. I have not been watching enough for so long, and most of the species are almost always humanoid. So I'd have to really give that some thought to kind of figure that out. I mean, I guess I could definitely say the Q Continuum because they're always fun. Yeah. I loved the one. I can never remember episode names, but the Voyager. One with the guy with the Q being who was trapped in the asteroid. That is Quinn. One of my favorite.
Quinn.
Yes, Quinn.
Yeah. Quinn.
That was one of my.
That was a great episode. That was a great episode.
I know that they always appear human, so maybe it's cheating, but
well, they're omnipotent beings.
I was going to say, baby, you're going to be rare in this beer.
How about you, Dr. Khan? Favorite non-humanoid alien species?
Well, it's a tie. It's a tie between the Horta and the giant cells from Operation Annihilate.
No, the flying.
Yeah,
the little
whatever
flying.
the hell they're called.
Whatever the hell they're. Yeah.
But you toss up between those two. I can't make up my mind.
Wow, that's.
You're talking non-humanoid, and I missed that part.
Yeah, non-humanoid.
Hortus. A lot of people are saying Hortus here. Hortus are a great one. That's great. And I'll tell you, God, if we're just talking Star Trek, it's got to be a toss-up between a Mugato and a Gorn for me, only because the Mugato makes a great stuffed animal, and the Gorn pop figure that's coming out is one of the coolest figures I've ever seen.
But I thought that they would be humanoid, arms and legs.
Yeah, but he's a reptile.
He talks, okay, and he wears a Tarzan top.
Okay, that's true. That's true. Yeah, he does. I have to, and I'm gonna have to.
I was trying to be strict on the humanoid. No arms and legs.
I got one.
Oh, okay.
I cannot remember the line. I cannot remember the name of it, and it's. I guess I'm cheating again because it's also Q. But that spear with the 3 snake heads he appeared as in the second episode he was in. Whatever the heck that species of thing was called. That was cool.
What was that?
It was like I think it was in the second Q episode, the one where he tries to turn Riker into a Q.
Right.
And he at first I believe appears as this giant glowing spear that has like 3 cobra heads on it, and it was just really cool. And for 1989 or 89 was Next Gen season.
Yeah. Started in 87, I think.
It looked really awesome.
87, 88, maybe.
A short little bit, but it was really cool.
Okay. We'll go with that. All right. All right. Sorry, got my screens popped open here, so let me.
Okay, I gotta go check on the baby.
All right.
Any other questions?
All right, hold on one sec. I'm just going to share this if I can. Here we go. There you go. There's.
Oh wow.
There's the new Gorn Funko Pop that's coming out. It's a Target exclusive. It's coming out, I think, in June.
And Funko's made here in Everett.
Yeah. We're in Everett, Washington right now, and this is where Funko is from originate. So, I'm sure they're made in China.
Well,
that's a great figure.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
It's totally cool.
Yeah. So I'll try and get a couple, and I'll send you one, Doctor. Okay, back to your story, since you're the special guest. What was the story you had?
Oh, it might be boring.
No, go for it.
Well, one of the things I thought was fun was, and I keep going back to the original, but the first, mainly because it was so crazy and just, catch as catch can. It was haphazard, like a ongoing crash. So at one point we're trying to build the transporter room, right? And we need the transporter pads. I've told you this story. I know I have.
Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, so Michael Okuda had sent out these celluloid graphics that looked like the pads from Paramount Studios, right? And James had them, but for whatever reason, he hadn't printed them, or he didn't get them prepared. He didn't have them ready. And we had to shoot like the next day. So he goes to me and turns to me, and there's literally a Lowe's 60 miles away. He goes, go find some transporter pads. And it was me and Ron Boyd. If you remember Ron, did you ever meet Ron?
No, I don't know if I met him. I seem to think
anyway. He was Lieutenant LaSalle. Anyway, that was his character. He kind of carved out for himself. He's a great actor, great guy.
Yeah, he was a really good actor, I thought.
Yeah. So we jump in my car. We drive off to Lowe's to look for transporter pads. Now, these are originally $1,200 studio lenses is what they were. They were the light lens. They were these huge that would go on these large lights. Well, they didn't have those at Lowe's. We went and looked. They didn't have them. So I finally went ahead and I was walking down an aisle and I look over and there's this clear rope lights. And I thought, well, maybe if we coil these rope lights on a piece of wood. Uh-oh, you got puppy issues?
Yeah, a little bit. No. I see. She went after my beer.
Oh. Who won? The puppy or the beer?
Yeah, not a stupid puppy. Like good beer. All right. Well,
I would have let her clean that up.
Yeah, she'll believe me. I'm sure once I'm not sitting here, she'll be sitting here getting drunk.
I'm going to teach you how to enjoy good whiskey, not bad beer. Whoa, wait.
No, she heard that.
Whoa,
she's like,
whoa. Okay, you can have beer.
Don't deny me, Dad.
Now you love me.
Go ahead, Doc. Don't.
Anyway, so we
never follow kids or animals.
It's terrible, isn't it? So anyway, we get these rope lights, and we went ahead and just basically did a spiral on a piece of board, and put them down, hooked it up to some juice. So we had it on a slider, and when we did the transporter effect, people were standing on rope lights, loosely wound on these boards for the transporter effect. Now, the funny thing is we went to Paramount the next year after the show had come out, and Mike Okuda is showing people the scenes, and he's saying in Paramount Arts, in the art department, he's showing them on his, wouldn't be his phone, but on his screen. And he's pointing to the transporter pads and saying, those are graphics that I sent James Colley, but you can't tell. But they were not his graphics, but they were just these. Anyway, if you go back and look at that show, they look perfect on screen. And the tricks that the camera does is the shit you get away with is unbelievable.
That's amazing.
Well, you know that better than anybody. When you look at the props that were used on the original series, they look like garbage. But on TV, they looked awesome,
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
So anyway.
It is 8:00 and we've got to finish up here. Whoa. Wow. Puppy's getting out of hand. So, but listen, dude, John, thanks again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to get to see you this time, but I already told Crystal we're going to fly out and hang out with you.
We're ready to receive you.
Once we're all vaccinated. I can't believe you aren't vaccinated yet. You're a doctor, for Christ.
I am.
Oh, you are. It's Tina who isn't.
It's Tina, yeah.
I've
been vaccinated for a month or two now.
You can't even get your wife vaccinated?
Hey, we're not going to jump the line, sir. We're following the state regulations.
All right.
Anyway.
All right,
guys.
Well, listen. Great seeing you, my friend.
Yeah, man. You too.
Thanks, Shane and Jeff, jumping in. I'm gonna make sure we're gonna go watch some Star Trek New Voyages now.
Yes.
Sure. Hey, Shane, I'm looking forward to meeting you, bud.
Me too, John. Me too.
All right, man. Sounds good.
All right, guys. Thanks so much, John. Doc John.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone, for showing up for Axanar Confidential number 90. We will probably be back next week. We'll see how things are going. I know it's my mom's 85th birthday next week.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to be going down to Florida, seeing her and my father. So thank you all for stopping by. There's so much happening with Axanar right now because we've put off the next 2 shoots until after everyone is vaccinated. The audio drama, we're working hard on the audio drama right now. Hopefully that'll be out this summer, along with the full annotated, illustrated script. So we're real excited about that, as well as right now we're working on short stories as well, to release a bunch of short stories about Axanar, help fill out the universe. So we're going to be talking about that next time as well. So anyway, thank you, everyone. Doc, John, Shane, Jeff,
Thanks, guys.
all our donors out there. We want to thank you, as always, all of our fans that have tuned in for this episode. Thank you so much. We'll be back next time. Go watch the Axanar update. If you're here and if you have any questions, you can always come find us on the Axanar fan group and ask questions away. And we're Axanar Film on Twitter. I'm Alec at Axanar.com. Send me emails. Friend us on Facebook. You can friend me on Facebook. I got a picture of the little puppy Sadie right now as my profile picture. So just look up and send me a friend request. Just send me a message. Say, hey, Alec, I'm Axanar fan. Can you approve my friend request? Because I've got like 900 friend requests I haven't answered because they don't look like Star Trek people. So there's nothing in their profiles that says Star Trek. It's like, so you either got to be a dog rescue person or Star Trek fan. That's it. All right, guys. Thanks so much. As always, everyone, live long and prosper.